What's up, guys? How you doing? I know that we've done a lot of devotions in the Psalms, but I read something this morning that I just wanted to share from 1 Samuel chapter 15. In Samuel, Samuel is a prophet. He's God's leader, but Saul is the king over Israel. And Samuel, he comes to Saul and he says, hey, go to the people of Amalek and destroy them. Just wipe them out. They are a rebellious people. They devote everything to destruction, all that they have. Do not spare them, but kill both man and woman, child and infant, ox and sheep, camel and donkey. This is one of those strange passages where we don't really understand why is the Lord allowing this to happen, but that is what is supposed to happen. They're supposed to devote everything to destruction. Keep no prisoners and keep no items, no cattle, nothing. But what ends up happening is Saul and the people of Israel do not listen. They go and they destroy the people, but in verse 9 of chapter 15, but Saul and the people spared Agag, the king, and the best of the sheep and of the oxen and of the fattened calves and the lambs and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them. All that was despised and worthless they devoted to destruction. And so they decide amongst themselves what is good for us to keep, what is going to be benefit to us. And Saul, the practice of that time was Agag, he would be carried around kind of on the parade, where Saul would be like, look at this king that I conquered. Look at everything that I have done. And the Lord comes to Samuel. He says, I regret that I made Saul king. I regret that I have put him in charge of my people. And Samuel, he comes to Saul, and he's like, Saul, what have you done? And in the background, Samuel can hear the sheep that Saul kept. He's like, why did you do such a thing? And then he goes in verse 17, and this is where I want to focus in some of our time. Samuel said, though you are little in your own eyes, are you not the head of the tribes of Israel? Are you not the one the Lord anointed as king over Israel? And the Lord sent you on a mission and said, go, devote to destruction the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed. Why then did you not obey the voice of the Lord? Why did you pounce on the spoil and do what was evil in the sight of the Lord? And Saul said to Samuel, look at his excuses here. I have obeyed the voice of the Lord. I've gone on the mission on which the Lord sent me. I brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and I've devoted the Amalekites to destruction. But look at verse 21. But the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen, the best of the top things devoted to destruction, to sacrifice to the Lord your God in Gilgal. And then here's what's really interesting is in 1 Samuel chapter, I think it's 8, when they set up Saul and they cry for a king to be like the other nations. And the Lord, he sets Saul as king. You think he's going to be this great one to restore Israel. Kind of like Moses when he saved them out of the Exodus and out of Egypt. But we see that Saul is not the one, the promised one. He's not the coming Messiah. He's not the Son of God. He's not going to be the one to restore Israel. And we see his failure here. But these verses make me think three things of why I am thankful for King Jesus. Number one, I'm thankful that King Jesus fully obeyed the Lord, and he did not disobey. But he would have devoted to destruction all that was unrighteous, because the Lord commanded him to. And so Jesus, I'm thankful that he fully obeyed the Father and earned that perfect righteousness that I may be a benefactor of. Another thing that I'm thankful for is I'm thankful for King Jesus who did not put excuses on me. He doesn't blame his people, right? That's what Saul does. He blames the people who took of the spoil, the sheep and the oxen. Jesus, he did not blame us. Instead, he took the blame for us. When we were the sinners, Christ came and died for us rather than blaming us. And another thing that I'm thankful for from this passage is I'm thankful for someone who comes and confronts me in my sin. That's what Samuel did here. He came and confronted Saul. In the same way, we have the mirror of Jesus' perfect life as recorded in the Gospels and all through Scripture. We have the mirror of his perfect life, and we have the Spirit to come and convict us when we do not live up to that standard, which is time and time again. But the difference is Samuel comes and confronts Saul and says, you've done wrong. But Samuel is not the one that Saul can place his faith in and be saved. We can look at the mirror of Jesus' life and say, I do not reach this standard. But at the same time, you did, and you promised that by faith I can have your perfect life granted to me, and I can have your resurrection as my salvation. And so I hope that is encouraging to you guys. Just something I really wanted to share from 1 Samuel chapter 15, just something that I am personally reading. As we read, what I try to do is always think, how does it get me to Jesus? what does this make sense of in light of Jesus? And so I saw that today, and I just want to share that with you guys. But we are praying for you and hope that you are edified by the word and are growing in the discipline of reading.